Hello and welcome. I'm Elizabeth Edwards, managing partner at H Venture Partners. We're a venture capital firm that invests in next generation iconic consumer brands. And Venturing Out is a new series we've created where highly successful consumer executives talk about their experience investing in and advising startups. So if you're looking to diversify your investments, stay connected to your colleagues, and use your expertise as a force of good and growth, this series is for you. And if you're a startup working to grow your brand, this is an opportunity for you to learn from some of the top leaders in consumer. And today, I'm joined by Kim Jordan. Kim brings a wealth of knowledge today. She is a P&G lifer, having worked 35 years in research and development until retiring last year. Kim now advises startups, helping founders create, nurture, and scale their brands. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We're so excited to have you. Well, let's get started. I'm so thrilled to have you share your story with us today. And I really want to start with your background. You have 35 years of R&D experience at P&G, which is arguably one of the best R&D organizations in the world. Several of those years in global hair care. And I'd love for you to just share a little bit about your professional background, how you got to where you are today, and what some of your superpowers are. What are those strengths that really propelled you throughout your career?
So my career at P&G was super fulfilling and invaluable. It was an amazing experience. I think that people ask me, why did you stay at P&G for so many years? And the truth is that I learned something new and I grew every single day I walked in that door and worked for the company. Um, so across my 35 years, I worked in 11 categories, including beauty, foods, pet care, oral care, fabric care, and I also, although my strong foot's in research and development, I had broadening assignments in product supply and human resources. And I also had the opportunity to work abroad. So I led R&D organizations in Asia and in Europe. Um, and during that time period, we also had some wonderful personal experiences. My children, by the time they both graduated from high school, had visited 35 countries.
Wow.
So it was really an amazing career. And on the day I retired, my husband also works at Procter and Gamble. We handed in our badges together and we walked out the door together.
And then COVID hit. So what, what a time to retire. Well, um, you really inspired me to take a look at my portfolio. I knew that I was invested in a lot of different funds, but you were the one that got me thinking, who actually runs those funds? You know, I'm a female fund manager. I should be paying more attention to this, but you really helped inspire a whole movement called Her Worth that launched last year on International Women's Day in March of 2020. And I'd love for you just to tell us more about that.
There were, I think, several elements that came together at one time. I mean, first of all, I really didn't know much about venture capital until you and I had connected on a number of topics. So I really learned a lot from you as well on how venture capital works and what the risk benefit was for venture capital. At the same time, my husband and I were heavily engaging in our portfolio with our wealth manager in preparation for retirement. I had also attended a financial seminar, and I learned something really interesting during that seminar. Today in the U.S., more the women are more educated. They're generating more wealth, and they are speaking up more and for themselves and advocating more for themselves than they ever had. Yet their major decisions that were being made around wealth, someone else was making them for them. Uh, and so those insights came together, and actually, I've been mentoring women for years as a senior leader in my organization, and I had never asked the question that I asked the wealth manager that day, which was, what percentage of my portfolio is being managed by female managers? And the answer was zero. This led to several discussions around how we should be strengthening our portfolio, because we know that diverse leadership delivers better outcomes. And so it just made sense for us to go back and look at our portfolio through that lens, which we'd not done before. And I would really encourage women to own their wealth. When women are sitting at the table, they ask different questions, they add perspective to individual and shared goals, and they bring different approaches to the table that strengthen the portfolio overall.
And you even have some stats on this, which I think are really powerful. I think the biggest stat that you brought to the table was this. I asked my I asked my wealth manager, and the answer was 0% of my wealth is managed by women. And you just touched on some interesting points around diversity and better outcomes through diverse perspectives. I wonder, is it a meritocracy if 99% of all wealth is managed by white men?
Yes, I think that I actually think as a nation we can do better. The more diverse we are and the more that we're using and leveraging all the skills that we have in the country, the better off we're going to be. And you can see through my just through my post work leaving P&G, a big passion area for me is making sure that we are creating that the work I'm doing is creating jobs in the U.S. And in the community in with which I live. That's why I'm so passionate about doing startup work and in throughout my phase.
Absolutely. So, and you and your husband are PNG lifers. You retired right before COVID hit. I would love for you to tell us a little bit more about what was that like. What advice would you give those that are, nearing or already transitioning into this next phase of life?
So I don't really know a retirement without COVID. So it's very difficult for me to compare. I was very early into my post career at Procter and Gamble. What I will say is, I think your series is very appropriately named. I think it really is about when you decide to leave what is your core career and retire from that. It really is about venturing out and exploration. I would My advice would be not to hurry to fill up your calendar. Um, Things are going to feel uncomfortable at first, uh, and that's what transitions are. They're uncomfortable, but really taking time to sort through what's important to you in your wellness, in your wealth, in your relationships, in your leisure, and then your ongoing personal growth. And my ask would be to take your skills and do something that would benefit humanity. Start there.
And I know that you do that in spades, and I want to talk more about that, and I know we will. Tell us, because you have a really interesting way that you allocate your time. How do you do it now? Stay involved, stay connected. How are you continuing to use your skills, your expertise, and your strengths for that?
So, I mean, I have the 5 buckets, and I've kind of looked at the importance of each one of those. Relationships are important. I have elderly parents, and I've been able to spend a lot of time with them. But in the bucket of what I would call, my personal growth, I have a 10, 20, 70 split in the whole kind of startup space because I've really always enjoyed doing that work. And again, I'm really passionate about making sure that I'm building jobs and careers for people in the US and within the community I work. So I do about 10% consulting, about 20% engagement with into venture capital, and then 70% of what I do is mentoring and volunteering startups. So a big part of just my volunteer work. The thing that I've really enjoyed about the venture capital, which is again fairly new to me, I really didn't know the ins and outs until you and I started connecting, is it does a couple things. One is there is flexibility in the level of engagement, so you can engage as much as you want or as little as you want when you're working in that space with the venture capitalist. Um, the second thing is it really keeps me current. So I have every time I engage in this space, I learn something new that then I can apply or use to help in my mentorship. And the third thing is it gives you access to just broader connections that and networks that again really can be helpful if you're doing mentoring and volunteering work. So it's just all really come together nicely for me in that space. And those three pillars really build off of each other to help me, move my purpose forward.
And there's a tax tie-in to that, which I think is really interesting. I had not really thought about this, but it always comes back to tax impact. Tell us why you consult and then donate.
I consult and donate so that the donations go directly to the facility where I would be, where I'm working. So rather than pass through me, I asked that they donate to the specific organizations that I'm working with because, frankly, by the time taxes are taken out and it goes to the organization, it's far less than just donating directly. It actually benefits the individual who's donating and it also benefits the organization that I'm working with.
I think if people take nothing else from your story today, what an amazing impact, because I know that you dedicate so much time to these causes. And for someone at your level, to be able to create such an economic impact for the organizations that you really care about is truly incredible. I love that. It's a philanthropic growth hack that everyone should know about. I'll probably end up writing an article about it, Kim, and we can quote you yet again. Um, well, you came to my office straight from that wealth management event, and you were fired up. You were ready to invest in H Venture Partners. Talk to us about what happened and what you took into consideration, your process for thinking about investing in venture capital and ultimately investing with us.
It starts with your goals. And so Neil and I looked through the lens of liquidity, which is what we needed today, longevity, which is what we would need for retirement and healthcare and beyond, and then legacy, generational wealth we wanted to pass on, and philanthropy. And we really agreed that we would use all the tools in our portfolio, of which venture capital is one of those tools. And it really was the best tool in one of those pillars. So we began the process to vet venture capitalists. H Ventures was one of the venture capital groups that we looked at. We looked through the lens of we wanted to do something in the CPG area because we felt it had high potential and it was underleveraged. Uh, Staying within the United States, we wanted to invest in the United States. We wanted a venture capitalist that was consumer focused, working on big consumer problems, and one with a diverse leadership, because again, we know that leads to better outcomes. We vetted the process blind. So we looked at several venture capitalist companies in the blind context to eliminate any bias. And H Ventures was at the top.
I love that scientific approach to investing, the double blind. That's amazing. I'm going to do that every time I talk to you, Kim. You're a scientist, I know, but you're also a really savvy investor, and I learned so much about investing from you, just in your diverse perspective. Well, we really, we just so appreciate you as an investor, as an advisor to us, as an advisor to our brands. And we really appreciate you sharing your insights with us, Kim. I think your story is incredible, and the expertise that you continue to share with us is invaluable. And I hope that everyone enjoyed this episode of Venturing Out. To our viewers, thank you for watching. You can help support our mission by sharing this episode on your networks. And if you'd like more information about H Venture Partners, you can visit our website, www.h.ventures. Kim, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Elizabeth.